Welcome to Muskegon Rising, a community service project of the Muskegon Rotary Club. Our purpose is to create lasting positive change. We've been doing that here since 1916. So, let's get started.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Kendra Robinson, and today on Muskegon Rising, we have Mr. Jaron Jackson. He's going to be helping us to understand the differences he does make in our community and the correction system, specifically with our juveniles. So welcome, Mr. Jackson. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Now, in all transparency, I know Mr. Jackson. We actually work in the court system together. We call him JJ. But can you first tell us a little bit about yourself, Mr. Jackson? Is it okay to call you JJ or Jackson?
Yep,
what do you want?
It's fine.
All right, JJ, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was pretty much raised here in Muskegon, but I'm not from Muskegon. I was born in Texas and moved around a couple of times, and then ended up moving to Muskegon. I guess I was about 8-9 years old, so I've been here most of my life. Went to Reese Puffer High School and graduated from there. Went to college, started off at Lawrence Tech University. Ended up transferring back home, and then ended up finally going to Ferris State University and finished there with a criminal justice degree.
All right, so is it with that degree that you gained your interest in criminal justice or the corrections area? Yeah,
I knew I wanted to get into something law enforcement based. So I just have a general correctional degree. I didn't want to be a police officer, so to speak, but
okay.
What I wanted to do was work for one of the government agencies. But without having that military background, it's extremely hard for a regular civilian, even with a degree, to get into that field. So.
Understand. So can you explain to our listeners today, what is the job of a juvenile probation officer?
So basically what we do is we work in the family court sector of the court system, and we work with juveniles who get in trouble with pretty much with the law. And then they'll come into our services, and we try to help the juvenile out, and not just the juvenile, but also parents of the family out with family services as well, to try to better their lifestyle or whatever they're struggling with. Usually when they come to us, we do a youth assessment, and it goes through about 7 different domains, such as family, peers, relationships, education.
Try to get a bigger picture of who this person is.
Try to get more of a picture of who they are, the things that they like, the things they don't like, the things that influence them, the things that they're interested in, and through those type of questionings, it gives us a label of whether this person is a low risk, medium risk, or a high risk. And within those domains, it also tells us what areas that person may need the most help in.
Wonderful. Well, you said that part of the services that you implement in the program after you do an assessment is also wrapping around the family.
Correct.
What's some of those things that you find out in your experiences? Well, let's just first of all talk about how long have you been a juvenile probation officer in our community?
About 10, 11 years now.
Okay, so you've had some experience with quite a few youth.
For a while.
All right. So what are some of the common things that you're finding when you do these assessments that doing programs or finding resources that also touch base with the family are helpful with the juveniles?
A lot of the struggle is either school,
Absolutely.
Where they struggle in school. I think the biggest component to a lot of them are the friend groups. A lot of them get in trouble with each other. They all know each other. Here in Muskegon being such a small town, they just gravitate toward each other. And so because they know each other, they all hang out together, and so they all get in trouble together. So that is a huge factor and a huge barrier, trying to
change
get these
their
kids
peer
to
relations.
develop to change their peer relationships and develop better positive ones. That's what's difficult. Sometimes the family piece itself can be a barrier, and that can make it difficult as well. in holding some of these kids back to being successful.
So does a probation officer work kind of like a big brother or big sister, or more like a law enforcement personnel, like an officer?
We wear a lot of hats.
Okay.
We wear a lot of hats. I wouldn't say brother or sister per se, because I don't think we really get that close with our probationers. Maybe some we do, but I mean we're probation or officer, we're counselor, therapist, teacher. We put a lot into these kids and trying to do a lot for them to try to help them be successful. I know when I get a kid onto my caseload, when we have our first meeting, one of the first things I tell them is like, I'm on your team.
Right.
So, this is all about you and trying to figure out who you are and trying to figure out where you struggle at. And I'm here to help you with that. I'm not here to lock you up. I'm not here to do this or that.
And let's be honest, they've been arrested, right?
Absolutely.
They need to have someone who can.
A lot of them have that negative
experience
with law enforcement.
Sure.
So I do try to set that tone. It's like I'm on your team. I'm on your side. I'm here to help. However, I do tell them,
hold you accountable.
I gotta hold you accountable. I still have a job to do. So if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, I gotta hold you accountable for that.
I remember when I was working in the family court system, I, as the defense attorney, had to be pretty close with what was going on with the probation officer. You're almost like the next liaison for almost a voice of the court of what's going on. Can you explain a little bit how that process works? Once a child or a juvenile is charged, they have to come in, they have to get arraigned, understand their charge. And how does the process work that they actually are on probation? How long the system, they're generally on the probation program, and then how do they get off?
So we just changed. We have what we call now community probation. So a juvenile would be placed on community probation. Based on their assessment score, whether it's low, medium, or high, determines how often we have to see them. If they're low, we only really see them once a month or as necessary to make sure that they're cooperating and following through with their requirements.
When you say see them, do you mean like go to their schools, their homes?
We'll go to their school, we'll go to their homes, maybe sometimes go to their job if they have a job, just wherever we see them at in the community.
Okay.
Or we'll have them come into the office too as well. And then you also have the ones who are more intensive, which they may have more serious charges or they may need more help. We see those juveniles once a week. And really what determines how long they're on probation really is up to them.
Okay.
Like once they go to their preliminary hearing, then their dispositional hearing, which is pretty much sentencing as a juvenile, we'll give them a list of probation requirements that they'll have to complete, such as community service, or if they have to get Health West services for mental health or counseling, mediation and restorative services, we use them quite a bit too. So anything that they did, whatever, we'll have a list of stuff that they have to that they'll be required to do.
Okay.
In order to complete during their probationary period. Now it could take 3 months. It could take up to 6 months. I've had kids on for 2 years.
Oh yeah.
So really, it just depends on them and how seriously they take it, and how quickly they work to be able to get their job done.
Right. So I heard you say that, you don't want the student or the juvenile to look at you as someone who's just trying to throw the book at them. Yes, you are a law enforcement officer, correct? Or you hold some of those responsibilities?
I probably hold some of those responsibilities. I wouldn't say law enforcement in particular, because we don't have the ability to.
The courts follow you by recommendation,
kind of
right? So if you
Correct.
recommended a child to go to the juvenile transition center, that would be something that could be considered.
Absolutely.
Along with being let off for probation early.
Correct.
Okay. So how often are you reporting back to the court about the progress of the child or the juvenile?
So once a juvenile is on probation and they've been given their requirements, we'll usually have like a review hearing. Depending on the juvenile, every 30 to 90 days.
Okay.
Everybody's different, or every case is different. But every 30 to 90 days, we'll have a review hearing where we'll go back in front of the judge or the referee and pretty much just kind of give a basic report of how they have been doing, whether they've been doing good or whether they've been doing bad. It just gives the courts gives the judge kind of an update of how they're doing.
So I remember that there were some cases when I was in the family court that some juveniles weren't treated like juveniles. Can you explain a little bit about how certain juveniles are treated as adults, or in what circumstances you probably wouldn't be their probation officer? Or you would? Well,
we do have some juveniles who, depending on the nature of their charge or the nature of their offense, if they're pretty seriously, usually they'll be more like weapons type offenses.
Okay.
And depending on the age, a juvenile can be designated as an adult. And in that case, usually typically what happens is, as when they're designated as an adult, they'll delay the adult sentence and give them a juvenile sentence.
Okay.
So what that means is they'll take that adult sentence and kind of
set it
aside, and then they'll have a series of a juvenile sentence to complete. As long as they complete that juvenile sentence successfully, a lot of times what happens is they'll take that adult charge and just making it a juvenile adjudication, so it wouldn't be on their adult record. But however, sometimes you do have juveniles that mess up, and they can get another charge, a probation violation or what have you, and then they'll revoke that delayed sentence, and then they'll charge them as a juvenile.
As an adult. For the juveniles who actually work the system, they complete what they're supposed to do. I'm not asking you for specific stats, but in your experience, you've been here for about 11 years. Have you seen it show successful with the juveniles in our community?
Yes, but in our line of work, it's very, very rare that we see the success stories afterwards.
Okay.
Once a juvenile successfully completes probation, usually when they're done, they're gone. You really don't ever see them again, unless it's out in the community somewhere and just by chance.
So that could be a positive thing, right?
Could be, yes. You can see it as a positive thing.
If you don't see them again, that's a positive thing.
Absolutely. A lot of the ones that we deal with usually that are the negative ones, we usually hear a lot just because that's our line of work.
They're
and
back.
We see their names in the paper, or we see on the news or whatever, or for whatever reason, we'll see them in the jail log sometimes. And
right.
Yep, we used to have him. We can go through a handful of account how many times we've had kids that's been on probation previously where now they're in the jail log or been in prison or whatever. But every once in a while you do get those success stories where you see kids that are successful. And I do see some out in the community sometimes, and they're not in trouble, and they're just working regular jobs and trying to take care of their family or kids, wherever they have, and those are success stories within itself,
sure
just
it
because
is.
they're not behind bars somewhere or in trouble somewhere. So,
JJ, I know that some laws changed recently that affected the juvenile system, where when it came to sentencing, that certain juveniles charged at a certain age couldn't face the same sentence as an adult, like life without parole. What is the general age of those who can be charged as a juvenile, and then those who can be treated as an adult? Or is there an age?
Any age up to 18 or 17.
It's 17
can be charged as a juvenile. But I've seen where 15 on up can be charged as an adult too. But like I said, it depends on the nature of their offense. They usually have to be a pretty serious offense for them to be charged as an adult.
What's the best part of your job?
Working with the kids. I've worked with kids the majority of my life, whether it's from coaching different sports or working in a youth home where I started, or doing what I do now. Working with the kids and trying to teach them about life and life skills. And
you yourself have children yourself, right?
Correct.
2 sons.
I have 2 boys, yes.
How old are they?
11 and 14.
Okay. And they're right here in Muskegon as well?
Right here in Muskegon.
Wonderful. They see their dad fighting hard for the community every day?
Yeah, I tell them stories sometimes, and they hear about it, and sometimes we'll drive around the community so they can see some of the ways some of these kids live. Some of them have it good, some of them have a bad living condition. So I kind of want them to see
Both sides.
both sides of it and how good they have it, and how it can also be flipped, and
Quickly.
very, very, very much so, and how bad they can have it. So I just want them to appreciate things.
What do you think the greatest resource that we have in our court system or our community it is for our juveniles to be successful in probation?
Greatest resource, the fact that they have people trying to work with them, I think, is our greatest resources. I know right now we don't have a lot of resources for our juveniles, and we are lacking tremendously for community resources for our juveniles to get involved in. There's just not a lot here in Muskegon.
Are you familiar with the exit program that they have for the adults?
Yes, I've heard about it.
For those who aren't familiar, it's a program for adult males and now females who are exiting out of the jail to get acquainted with community, job training, therapists, counselors, support system. Is there something similar to that in our juvenile system, especially with those who maybe are coming out of the juvenile transition center?
Not really to that extent, no.
Okay.
I know we use Health West services a lot. And through Health West, they try to teach some of these kids some cognitive behavioral therapy, decision-making skills, that sort of thing. We try to get our kids involved into positive extracurricular activities, because we all know that if you're doing nothing and you're bored,
you'll feel that time somehow.
Chances are, right, you'll find
Absolutely.
trouble, or trouble will find you. So I think that our biggest barrier is just trying to find some positive curricular activities in the community to where these kids can meet other positive individuals.
Absolutely.
And not just continue to hang around the ones that they know that they get in trouble with.
Is there a resource that the community can reach out to for those maybe who are listening, who maybe want to get involved to help volunteer or do something that they can contribute to our juvenile justice system?
Create more programs.
Just start from scratch on this one.
It would be nice. I know, and then we used to have these years ago. But I remember once that millage didn't pass, we lost a lot of community support. So places like CASA we used to use quite a bit, and it was helpful for us because it wasn't just us seeing the kids; it was having another person in the community to see the kids as well. So you had someone seeing these kids throughout the week, not just one day out of the week. So there was us, there was Health West, there was CASA, which was pretty much like a mentor type program. It would be helpful to have some mentors step up and be involved with these kids through the court systems.
Okay.
So that they can hear some stories, and just for someone that can take them out and show them how to be a pro-social individual in the community, and show them different pro-social activities that they can get involved in.
Absolutely. Well, JJ, I thank you. I thank you for lending your experience and your time today and sharing your passion about what you have for our youth. And I'm praying that those who are interested in working with our youth hear you and reach out to the necessary people who can help out and volunteer their time to help our juveniles in our community. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
We so appreciate you coming. And thank you for tuning in to Muskegon Rising today.